Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are in the bunker. You've hit a bit of a crapper into the green, you've hit it into the bunker, and now we've got a front flag that you need to whip it up and in and hopefully save your par. I'm joined by the wonderful Simon Cooper, co-owner of Precision Golf. Do check their channel out, they're making incredible content for all your custom fitting needs. So today, the short-sided bunker shot. It's actually slightly favourable. We've got a little bit of wind into us, which people don't appreciate how much that makes a huge impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge difference, actually. Yeah.
The golf club that we've got is a sand iron. Probably not a club that I would tend to use. I don't know how you feel, but I would tend to use a lob wedge in this situation.
Certainly for this situation, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as much loft as possible.
Yeah. When you have more loft, what does it make you feel like you can do in a short-sided bunker shot?
You can still be positive. Yeah, I think the key thing, any bunker shot, any shot really, but the last thing you want to do is try to play it too cute.
Yes.
And by that I mean kind of decelerating. You want to be nice and positive. So if you've got lots of loft, you can still hit the sand hard, hit through it hard, and then not send it very far.
Brilliant. So, I mean, unrehearsed, I intimated what it gives him, and as a good player, understands that more loft for a short-sided bunker shot encourages more speed, and we don't see that enough in bunker play, do we? But everybody's used to feeling 1 for 1. As soon as you hit the golf ball with club head and ball, that's a 1 for 1 ratio. If you think about sand, has suddenly almost changed it from a 1 to 6 ratio. For every 6 miles an hour that you're creating with the club head, you're almost making 1 mile an hour now because the sand has slowed you down. So you need to change the way the brain is relating how much energy you're putting in with how the ball's going to react. So let's see you. Let me tell you, folks. If you've seen some of these videos, Simon's delivery in the shots that he's been playing, for my liking, is a little bit too high. I want to see some thinning. I want to see some fatting. I don't like all this good shot stuff. So anyway, not putting any words in your mind.
yeah.
Show me how you're going to play this. Talk me through. Obviously, we're going to give ourselves a nice lie because it would have rolled over the back and it would have been a beautifully raked bunker that we see here at Costa Navarino. Talk me through your setup and how you go about playing it.
So again, obviously, lie's critical. So we've got a good lie. That means I don't have to take into account the ball sitting down. I can just play it as I want to play it. I tend to play these fairly square. I'm not someone who opens up massively. So
music to my ears.
So I want the ball further forward in my stance. I'm trying to get it high and soft. So I want the ball further forward because I don't want to be attacking it you want to hit the sand, but I don't want to hit it steep. Yep. So I'm trying to splash shallow underneath the ball and get it going upwards rather than forwards. And then really just getting a feel for the sand. It's almost sort of quite granular, this stuff. So the top layer is quite soft, but there's a bit of moisture underneath. So again, if you go too deep, it's going to start to kick off of it. So that's sort of gauging how deep I want to go. And then really it's
throw some speed at it.
Relatively simple, yeah. If I want to get, particularly we've got the sand wedge around the lob wedge, I'm just going to open the face up a little bit so that it can work underneath. See where I want to strike the sand, focus on that, and then put a little bit of speed onto it. They come out a little bit further.
Yeah, but a lovely strike, and I think we've got to recognise the fact of how little sand in terms of the depth. I mean, we tend to see divots like that in the sand, from guys and girls out there. You've taken sand, but you've bruised it, which really, when you think about, have another go, just show us just how good you are. When you think about the speed that you keep with the club head, when you still take sand, but you take less of it. Yeah. The club almost doesn't need to bounce because when you're making it shallow, you don't need to use as much as you might think previously, just because of the way you're delivering the golf club.
So I'm going to try and open that. I'm going to try and keep the blade a little more open to make it into a lob wedge for this one. That's the only adjustment here. And then a little bit deep on that, but it's coming a bit shorter.
But a nicer, it just shows how much the lob wedge gives you as versatility, because the first one you struck really nicely and probably applied yourself in the way you would do with the lob wedge, but of course it's come out hotter because we've got less loft.
Yeah, and then you've got to really manipulate it to try and get that.
And as soon as you then really waft the face open, the bounce has gone through the roof, and then you can feel it stalling out. So just a few things. Brilliant, Simon, as usual. So
It's always nice when you can do that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a couple of little tricks that you might want to consider, and this might take some working out for you guys out there. We want you to be steep, but we want you to be shallow. And it's like, hold the press, what's he talking about? Now, James, what I want you to do is I want you to come around and just take a little clip from down the line. Big thanks to James on drums. He is the editing king. So I'm going to aim dead straight here, and I'm going to open the face just to add a little bit of loft in. But what we've historically seen in bunker play is guys and girls opening the stance up and then trying to swipe across it. Now, the problem with that is that very rarely path lines match how much a golfer is open. Because when you open yourself up and then you start looking at the target, you then start swinging at the target. And that's the equivalent to standing square and then swinging 15 to 20 degrees inside out. That's a real problem child for bunker shots. When Simon talked about standing square, please folks, stand square. Don't stand open, because standing open is the worst thing you can do. Then, as we're standing square, now what we want you to actually feel, to create the speed down at the bottom of the ball, we want speed with the head. And we've got to create that by unloading the head. And so when we unload the head, and I'm talking about casting here, which is scary stuff for a lot of you, but throwing the head out puts the club face on the ball line and makes it all line up. Now, if we now walk around here for me, James, you've seen it from a down the line perspective, how throwing the club head out made the ball go on line. But now, because I've widened the arc, now I can be shallow through strike. So I can feel the club head has worked outwards, which makes me feel steep, but because the lever is unloaded, I can now be shallow through the ball. And so this expansion of radius creates the speed in the head that we're looking for, that makes the club expose more loft and pop the ball. When we think about bunker shots, and everyone talks about keep your speed up, which we've rightly done, but what we've ended up with is loads of pull on the handle. Loads of pull on the handle does create speed, but it also creates dig. So when we're talking about bunker shots, I really want you to reference, I keep saying this with bunker shots, it's like the driver. And if you haven't seen it, check out my attack angle video with driver and how the lever unloads. This lever unloading is the very ingredient that's going to allow you to feel like you take the sand, but you bruise the sand. So down at the bottom of the golf ball, I'm really feeling how the club head can still swing. The pressure has stayed on my left leg. So all of a sudden down at the bottom of the ball, I've got a much cleaner contact, much more height, and all of a sudden the ball's got way more spin on it. So the ball being further forwards gives me more time to unload the golf club. The pressure in my left leg holds the low point of the golf swing in the same point, so I don't worry about the low point going too far forwards or too far back, which is why you see a lot of the guys on tour turning their toe out and sitting into that left leg to lock the low point in. But to do that, you then need to make sure that the ball is far enough forwards. Then all of a sudden, we can now start to expand the radius of the golf swing and start to get myself a little bit more speed down at the bottom with the club head. So there's a few keys in there. The expansion of the radius of the club head is one. It makes us get the club head out, which will feel steep, but then through strike, it will make us feel shallow. That's a toughie for a lot of you to consider and think about. The locking in of the low point of the golf swing is the pressure in the toe of the left foot that allows you to apply that speed with the club head down at strike. And hopefully you'll really start to be able to create the speed that everybody talks about in bunker shots as a head end speed rather than a handle pull speed. My thanks goes to Simon Cooper for displaying yet more super short game shots. If you've enjoyed this video, do hit the like, do share with your friends, and that, my friends, is good coaching. We'll see you on the next one.